How's it going, guys? Well, here's a different BMW for you. Chevy Silverado. Got front wheel bearing problems. 140,000 miles. Needs both front wheel bearings. Probably needs ball joints. Probably needs tie rods, rack and pinion, whatever. So we're just taking it apart right now. I know this is the BMW channel, but this came in. We're going to help this kid out. I'm trying not to be too biased. I do see the sway bar link is broken and sticking up in the air. Not sure what's going on about that. A lot of you guys might have these trucks as a tow vehicle. I know you're probably all laughing right now, but so this is a 2011, and we're going to go ahead and get the brake caliper pulled off. There's some 19 millimeters here. We might try to pull the whole thing off with the pads all in one piece. I don't know how this one's set up. This is kind of out of my comfort zone. And then we'll pull the disc off. I do see there's a little star screw, and it's like the shallowest star screw I've ever seen. We know that's going to strip out, but we'll do our best. This one has a little thread of holes. There's barely any threads in the holes. You're supposed to put a bolt in if you can't get it off, and it pulls it off the hub, right? So that's the theory anyway. It has a little cap you knock off. Looks like somebody's already knocked it off. And the CV axle goes through the wheel bearing. And there's a 36 millimeter nut, just like a X5. Take that off. On the X5s and the rest of those cars, that comes off real easy. Everybody's warning me that on these trucks, the CV axle freezes to the bearing. So we're just going to see. We got two new wheel bearing assemblies, and we're going to try to get these swapped out. But before we start, have a little Silveraydo drama here. I started it up this morning. I had it parked over here before we tore the shed down. There's just a little bit of mud. I mean, a little bit. And I went to back up. The tire was right here. Went to back up. It just wouldn't. No matter which way, just no matter what, it wouldn't. So I had to put it in four-wheel drive just to be able to back up on almost flat ground. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on time lapse. We're going to get this party started and see if we can get this switched out for this guy. Okay, so this is where we're at. When I took out the screw for the brake disc to hold the disc on, it actually came out. It wasn't very tight. I took out the whole caliper at once. Now I don't know if that's going to work when I put it back on. I might have to take these out to get the pads to go back over the disc. These inner ones are 19. I'm sorry, these are 18. These are 19. I don't know why the hell they did it like that. Anyway, the disc pull right off. Took a hammer. We got the cap right off. So we're down a 36 millimeter nut. Somebody has had this apart before. I can tell by the looks of the nut. It's got wear on it from the impact. So we're pretty much done. We're going to go and get the big impact. We're going to pull that 36 millimeter nut off. If it comes off, we're not sure. And there's three 15 millimeter bolts on the back of here that takes that whole entire hub off. And we unplug the ABS sensor, and then we're off. So let's put you back on time lapse, see if it's going to happen like that. Holy shit, boys! I don't know what the torque spec they cranked that bolt down or the nut down to, but that was way past any kind of reality torque spec. That was in the hundreds. I had a 3-foot breaker bar on this ratchet, and I had to end up sticking a crowbar in between the studs to get good enough leverage on it. It doesn't matter what impact you have, man, that would never would have taken that off. It's everything I could do. I weigh 220 pounds. Everything I could do with a 3-foot breaker bar with that piece of lead pipe to get that broken loose. However, Got her broken loose now. Put you back on time lapse. We're going to get her taken off. Okay, so this is where we're at. I got all three of the bolts out. The CV axle actually is just loose. I think somebody's already done this bearing. All these bolts have been taken out before. So here's how the bolts look. And I try to use the 12 point 15 millimeter in my 1/2 inch drive, just because I don't have a 6 point in my 1/2 inch drive. I only have it in 3/8. So I put it on there, just freaking touched it with the impact, and it started to strip it. These bolts are really soft. Even the ones with the 6 point is starting to round that over, and we know they're 15 millimeter. I looked it up before I even started. So we end up having to use this guy, a 6.15 on a 3/8 drive with a 3/8 extension, because on some of these bolts, the top one, you can't get a 1/2 inch drive extension in it, and then adapter from 3/8 to 1/2 inch, so we could use our 1/2 inch drive ratchet, which I broke. I guess sliding a pipe on it, we broke the latch off of it. I don't think the pipe is up that far, but anyway, it's Craftsman, so we'll get another one. Anyhow, we're going to go ahead and unplug this ABS sensor, and we're going to take that hammer and we're going to hit this guy, and hopefully the whole hub just falls out. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So all I did was just unplug the ABS sensor. We broke the clip because we have a new one, right? It all came on the new hub. And hit it with the hammer. It's gonna come out with the dust shield. Came out actually pretty easy. We're gonna slip the dust shield off of there. We'll go and hang it on there somewhat in relation of what it was on there with, so it'll get it mixed up. And this wheel bearing feels good actually, but we know with wheel bearings you can never tell by that. So let's go and get the new bearing, and we'll go ahead and get her put on. Because here's the new bearing. Before we put it on, we need to check a few things out here and see what in the hell's going on. This truck is 140,000 miles. It should not need any of this 140,000 miles, and all these do are before. So let's go ahead and check out a few more things. We just checked the tie rod in. It's okay. You do that, you twist it, and you get in here with the pry bar, and you're going to pull up on it and make sure there's no play in this joint right here, which there's not. Okay, I'm going to check the lower ball joint. It has a little pry tab, if you can see it or not, down here. We're going to pry in there, and look at the freaking play in that. I don't know if you guys can even see that. I mean, it's it's freaking toast. So the top one's the same way. You get in here, they don't have a very good bite on this top one. You get in here and get the lip of it, and you just pry up. There's no play in the top one. And we tested the CV axle. The CV axle feels good. The CV axle, you want to twist it. You want to grab it here, grab it on the inside shaft, and twist it and make sure that joint doesn't have any slop in it, which it don't. So this truck's going to need lower ball joints. That's going to be a freaking disaster to put those in. And so for right now, for today, we're going to go ahead and put this hub bearing back in, and we're going to go ahead and do the other side. And when we do the other side, we'll go and check out everything over there too. All right, guys, we got her done. So what we ended up doing, we ended up taking our torque wrench here, and Chevy has crazy torque specs on these bolts. I don't know why they think this truck's so heavy duty it needs that. Who knows? Anyway, this nut here is 155 foot-pounds. The 3 on the back, we did those in 3 different stages. We ended up at just tightening them up with a ratchet, and we went to 60 pounds with the torque wrench. Then we went to 133. There's a bunch of different torque specs on these. They're all anywhere from 130 to 150. So found a few on Google that were 133, so that's what we set it at. And we got all locked in at that. At this point in time, we're going to put the brake caliper back on, and we might have to separate this to do the pads. We're not sure yet. We're going to go ahead and do that, put the wheel back on. Before we do the other side, I'm going to go ahead and drive this thing and make sure we got it fixed and make sure that's what it was. Okay, guys, so here we are reinstalled. The disc is back on. Now, this little star screw, you don't want to put that in very tight. I just snugged it up with the ratchet, just turned it a little bit more and left it. In case some sorry bastard has to get that back out, which will probably be me, we don't want to overdo it and strip it or make it get stuck. So, I'm going to put the caliper bolts back in. We did not have to separate the caliper from the bracket. I was able to put the pads back in, slip the whole thing back on. So at this point, we popped the center cap back on, put it up there, took the hammer and just gently tapped it all around. Make sure it's seated real good. It is. Everything should be done and ready to go. We're going to go ahead and put the wheel back on. We're going to take her for a drive. Now, the symptoms of this thing were, you were driving down the road, it sounded like you had huge mud tires on it. And when you turn to the right or turn to the left, whichever side you put more weight on, which was this side, the noise would get louder. And it was pretty damn bad. Bad enough where you couldn't hear that the ball joint was making noise and clacking when you hit bumps. And you also couldn't hear that the silver link is sheared off and sticking up in there. So let's go ahead and reassemble and take it for a drive. Okay, guys, so we just drove it. It did fix it. I can hear this one's a little bit loud on this side. We have that bearing. We're going to go ahead and do that bearing. I've only got about 40 minutes to do this side, so I'm not going to record it. I'm just going to basically haul ass and get it done. And then I guess we're going to put up ball joint video and all that good stuff here in a week or so.